Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Smith Podcast. My name is Chad Smith, and today is Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. And I'm joined, as always, by my co-hosts from California. Please welcome Sonny Conway and Spooky Morales.
Hey, good morning.
What's up, guys? Good morning. Sonny kept me up real late last night, watching and listening to some SwampDweller on YouTube. So we might be a little tired today, but we got Spooky Morales in the house to keep us awake.
Wakey, wakey.
Wearing a Wu-Tang shirt.
Spooky bringing the woo.
Very nice.
As I always do.
Let's see who we got in the chat room this morning so far. We got Enzo Surreal. Great to see you, man. Arden Paranormal. How's it going, Sam? We got Spooky Morales in the chat. Oh, my God. We got SwampDweller in the chat. Look at that, dude.
I love that dude.
Check that out. We might have to talk to him later today. What's up, Jamie? Jamie's awake. She's probably at work. Working. We got Cassie awake and ready to go. What's up, Cassie? Good to see you this morning. Jeanette Sanchez, how's it going? Good to see you. All right, and we got Terry Brown coming in right now. Coming in at the last minute. How's it going, Terry? Good to see you. All right, guys, we got an awesome guest backstage, Mr. SwampDweller. He is formerly Swamp Dog Chronicles. He's an American YouTuber, voice actor, and media producer for the Southern United States. He's best known for his nature and cryptid-themed works on his viewer submission podcast, The Dark Swamp Horror Stories. For the first time on the Chad Smith Podcast, please welcome SwampDweller. How's it going, dude?
Hey, how you doing?
Yes.
Whoa!
Oh,
Spooky
shoot, we got a camera.
Spooky must have sent you that $100 donation.
Yeah.
Hey,
He got it.
I'll be waiting.
Dude, what a privilege. Thank you so much, Matt, for being with us. We've been listening to you for a long time.
Oh, dude, I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun, and it's an honor to be able to say that I have a Chad Smith encounter live on film.
Right on.
live on film.
Yes.
That's right, dude. And you're using the same microphone Spooky's got. Must be the right kind of microphone.
Oh
Spooky
man, I wouldn't recommend any other mic to anybody.
Yeah, they sound really good. Got a nice warm sound to them.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, you can use it for anything, man.
Yeah, I saw a guy using it. He had the pop filter off, but he was like screaming into it, like screamo music.
Mm-hmm. That's why I bought it originally. When I was a kid, I was a huge metal fan, and I just always saw them having this microphone, and I was like, I need that. So whenever I was able to afford it, I was like, yes, I need it, and I got it, and I found out it's basically radio standard. So I was like, well, let's go.
Didn't they say Michael Jackson recorded Billie Jean on it? I think I heard that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, that's good enough for me.
Yep, good enough for Spooky. That's awesome. So, dude, when did you get started with all this stuff? Because I know that you're probably right around my age, if I had to guess. But when did you get started with like the voice acting stuff?
Honestly, the voice acting stuff I feel like is newer. I guess anything is voice acting depending on what you define it as. But me, I kind of came into this weirdly because I never really wanted to be this. Like, as I wanted to be a radio host so bad as a kid. Radio was always my like dream. Mm-hmm. So falling into like doing music for most of my life, and then kind of eventually finding YouTube and being like, well, I want to do YouTube. But I didn't know if I wanted to be like a narrator or a voice actor or, a podcast host or anything like that. I didn't really know what any of that was. So I just kind of found the most interesting thing to me, which was cryptids at the time and spooky stuff, and just started talking to people. And it kind of just happened there. I think that was about, I would say early 2015, I really started the podcast that I used to do, but I would say end of 2016 is when SwampDweller actually was branded as SwampDweller, and that's when I would say like voice acting was a thing for me, probably end of 2016, like November-ish.
Oh, okay, cool.
We were talking about your stories last night. We were listening to I Survived. Was it grizzly or just bear attack?
The bear, I think it's called I Survived a Bear Attack. That's what we were listening to last night.
Yeah, that was a good one, and like Chad said, you really get into it, man. I've tried to listen to those before, not on your channel, and stuff like that. I don't get too interested in them. Last night I was stuck. we went through that whole thing, man. That was a good story. That's a really good one.
Yeah, we noticed the difference between you and most other narrators is like you can feel like I'm a very visual person. I have to see something in order to learn it or in order to see. Like I have a really hard time reading a book and putting myself in that scenario or in that situation and visualizing what it looks like. But I noticed with the way that you say it, you like like the emotion comes through. Like you could hear your voice was like shaky and kind of sounded nervous when the bear was approaching. So yeah, that's the big difference is that when you talk about something like that or when you're explaining the story, you really put the reader right there in the scenario. Works
Yeah,
pretty
definitely.
good.
That's what I try the best to do, though. I just try to tell it like it happened to me, like first person.
Mhm.
And luckily for me, I'm only 26. I turned 27 in October, but I've lived more than enough. I've experienced like 5 lives. I feel like like I've had so many experiences living deep in the rural South and on beef farms with 300 head of cattle and all that. Just like I've seen and experienced so many weird things, living in houses built in 1802 and all that. So I was just like, all these things, like I feel like actually happened to me. And then I get these goosebumps on me because I'm just like, oh my God, I know exactly what they're explaining right there. Like I've never been chased down by a bear and mauled or anything, but I have come face to face with a mountain lion before. And that fear that I felt for that split moment when this thing looked at me, and I was like, well, this thing's going to freaking kill me. Was definitely something I could apply to that situation where a bear is mauling you. And I can only imagine that you're not going to be like, and the bear was killing me. So I was like, I got to, make it sure that, hey, I'm fighting for my life here. And I'm glad that, it can convey that and it can come across like that. Cause, obviously, like Sonny said earlier, it's not, this kind of stuff isn't for everybody. A lot of people are not going to, have the attention span or the interest to listen to, some guy talking about a scary story. But if you can put that emotion into it and kind of hit that relevancy with you guys, because I'm sure you guys have been scared to a point to where you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm gonna get out of this, or, I don't know what this thing is and I'm in danger. Everybody has that feeling. So if you can bring that out and try to, get the viewer to connect with the emotion that's actually going on in the story, I feel like this is kind of the whole point of storytelling,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and believe it or not, that's something that a lot of people just don't get right. They'll just like you were saying, they'll just read it word for word, and you kind of have to build that image in your head, the scenario in your head. Whereas somebody that puts a little more emotion into it and really puts you in there, I mean, that works a lot better. So it's understandable why you're successful with it, man. That's sweet. So I guess I was a little wrong. I'm 33, so I'm a little older than you.
Hey man, we're only as old as we feel, right?
Yeah, that's right. And this morning I was feeling pretty rough, so feeling like a 60-year-old getting out of bed these days, Sonny. What's up with that?
Hey, I don't want to hear it, dude.
Sonny did some work on the railroad, so his body's all beat up.
Oh man, I can't imagine.
So yeah, well, that's another thing we were talking about last night is if you've had any of your own experiences or how that worked. Have you had any of your own experiences similar to the ones that you tell stories about?
Oh yeah, I feel like that's ultimately kind of how I ended up in this whole genre. Like I said, I didn't really have any plans on telling stories or anything like that when I first got here, and doing spooky stuff was definitely not like my forefront. Like I've always loved scary movies. Like I said, I grew up in a Civil War cabin that was built in 1802. I was bushwhacking behind our barn one day and I found their graves. And I was like, oh, well, this explains why we see shadow people all the time, or we hear all these footsteps all the time when nobody's home and all these crazy things. And I've got a few stories I've shared on my channel over the years. But the one I share the most is like we had like these phantom hoof steps that used to come on our roof. We had like this metal roof at the time. And you could hear, I remember one day, like I went up on the roof and was standing there and everything goes quiet. The wind stopped, everything. And it was like early fall. And this is like a year where all these freaking cicadas were coming out of the ground. And this is outside of Maryville, Tennessee. So it's the boonies. It's middle of nowhere. We're probably like 30 miles from like actual like town lines or state line or city lines, whatever you want to call them. And so we're like basically nowhere. And all we hear for months on end is just these cicadas they go completely quiet, and suddenly it sounds like something lands on the other side of this metal roof. And you can, and like if you've ever heard hooves, like going up like a trailer or something like that, like when you're moving your cattle or your goats or anything, it sounded exactly like that. And so I'm looking around and there's absolutely nothing there. I'm like, all right, this is a little strange. But so I call my brother up because I guess a little more context. We were playing Manhunt at the time. That's the entire reason I was up there. It's basically like an extreme hide and seek. And so I'm hiding up on the roof, and they can't find me. Eventually, I go in and I say, "Hey, come up here." My older brother comes up with me. He's probably like 6'2", 200 pounds. He's a big guy. He was in like varsity football and all that on the line, doing his thing. And the same thing happens. Everything goes quiet, but this time it gets a little more intense. We hear the same thing again. It sounds like something lands on the other side of the roof, but then it sounds like it sprints towards us. We don't see anything, so we're kind of standing there like this, back to back, and it feels like something is running. You can feel like the indentations on the ground of something running around us in like circles, but we're reaching at our hands and you're not feeling anything, but it is slightly cold. It feels a little like icy, but you don't feel any static. You don't feel like anything physical. Suddenly, like, we're freaking out. We're like, what the hell? And it like basically trails off to where it came from and sounds like it like jumps off. Kind of like, I don't know, like maybe Jeepers Creepers or something, would jump off and fly or something. I don't even know what it was doing. And basically it's a pretty anticlimactic story. We just run inside and we don't ever go up on top of that roof at night again. But it was just one of those things, like these steps, like where were they coming from? Like they had weight to them. You could feel the indentations on the roof. You could hear the sound. It would sound like it was there just like you and me, but there was nothing there. You couldn't see a thing. All you could feel was like a slight cold breeze. But even then, like, it's fall, it's cold, it's Tennessee. We got 10 inches of snow that year. So it's just like, it's really hard to say that this was paranormal, but I can't explain it. And that's definitely things that, like, when I started, getting pushed more, because me getting more into scary narrations was more the viewers being like, you should read these things. And I was like, well, I guess I should read things that I connect with, right? Because those are the easiest ones. Because if I'm scared, I feel like you guys are going to be scared. If I'm getting goosebumps, like you guys are. So
yeah, absolutely. That definitely got conveyed, especially in that story that we listened to last night. Like I said, the emotion comes through for sure. And, just the feeling of being scared does come through to the reader, or to the listener, I guess, at that point. Did you guys talk about what it could have been? Like did you have any guesses as to what that could have been that was running around?
Unfortunately, I haven't really been able to have a lot of contact with that side of my family in many, many years. But what I do remember us talking about is definitely saying, I know Goatman came up a million times. With a Goatman movie like had recently came out at that time, and or Krampus, something like that, and everybody was like, it's that. But to me, I think it I don't really know how to explain. I would say it's probably some sort of spirit, some sort of dark energy, maybe something like that, because that house had a lot of crazy stuff going on. There was like shadow people that we'd always see at the top of the stairs, and the stairs only go up into one room, which happens to be my room. And they would always see like this hat man at the corner of my eye. And I was always like, and I'm crazy, man, there's nothing going on. But one day my little brother walks past the stairway before I do. And I come like right behind him. And he's like, how'd you get down the stairs so fast? And these stairs are old and creaky. There's no way you're going to get down it without making any noise. Even if you're trying to tiptoe, it's just impossible. I've tried it so many times. And I'm like, dude, I literally came from the same room as you. And that's when it kind of like clicked in my head. There's definitely something weird, because I remember another time real quick, we left to go look at houses in North Carolina when we were moving. And my older brother stayed over and watched the house and the dogs. And when we came back, he was begging us never to leave him home again, because he said there's somebody walking in the attic, and the attic space is literally like this big. It's a literal crawl space. Like, it's not like he's like heavy footsteps. Somebody was walking up there. But yeah, it's just a lot of energy in that place for sure.
Yeah. So it wasn't just you that had the experiences there. You had your family members also experience things there?
Yeah. A lot of everybody. I would probably say, I don't really know if my mom or my stepfather had any sort of encounters, but I do know for sure that me, my little brother, my older brother, and my older stepbrother definitely had a few weird experiences there. And I'll say this for sure. When I went through some pretty bad depression when I was around 14, when my grandma died. I was really close with her. And I would say that was when we moved there, suddenly I felt more depressed. I felt more negative. I felt almost in a sense even suicidal. And I've never felt that in my life. Like life is So I'm just I have so many weird things that you can tie into this one place, and I just feel like it was probably just a manifestation of whatever dark energy happened to be there.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's interesting, man. Yeah, that's the thing is I've never lived in a place that had that kind of energy, so it's really interesting to hear the experiences that people do have. It's creepy. I don't know how long I could stay at a place like that. Some people have these experiences and they just live with it. There was a guy on TikTok I was watching, who knows if it's real or not, but he has all these experiences that he documents, and he acts like he just gets bothered by it. Like there's a door slamming over and over and over again, and he's trying to watch a movie, and he's just like, oh my God, this thing. And just keeps slamming the door over and over again. But then some people are like, some people are putting a for sale sign up the next day. So.
Yeah, honestly, mine wasn't that bad. It was a lot more subtle, but for me, this is why I think it's evil, is because it waits on you. You know, it waits till you're alone. It waits till you're vulnerable. It waits till like the middle of the night. It'll wait until, you know, nobody else is really gonna be there. You know, it's always like, I don't know, like it could be like some innate human fear in the back of your head, but I was never scared to be in this house, and I've been scared to be in a lot of other places, and I was never uncomfortable to be there per se, but you would know, because like the whole place just changes. It's a feeling. Like this feeling would come over the room, and then you would just sometimes even like see like a dark shadow or something, like just like kind of hovering in a corner, like not like a person, but like almost like a dark cloud. So it was definitely an energy. I don't really know how to explain it.
Huh. Man, that is interesting. It's weird when you get a feeling that there's something in there and you just can't see it. You're like, man, I have a strange feeling, like an energy that is in this room. Feels like somebody's looking at you or watching you or something. But yeah, I don't like the stuff that's invisible. I like to be able to see what's going on in front of me. So you started out with the Swamp Dog Chronicles. Is that what SwampDweller used to be called?
Yeah, we kind of evolved into that.
And so the Swamp Dog Chronicles, that was more of like was it more of like a podcast, or how did it start out?
It was a podcast. It was the Swamp Dog Chronicles story is very interesting and hard to tell, because like there's so many parts of it. It was just so many people believing in me when I really didn't see what they were trying to believe in. First and foremost, I got to say thank you to Cundiff from Dogman Encounters. Like, this wouldn't be here without him. SwampDweller wouldn't exist. You know, he didn't do anything directly, but him telling me, you have a great voice, I think you would be great to represent the Dogman topic, etc., pushing me to start Swamp Dog Chronicles, telling me that, you know, I had something there. That was entirely everything I needed. You know, a lot of people in life don't have any support system. And when nobody has anybody behind you saying, hey, man, do this, there's nothing to lose. And that's why I think a lot of people wait very long in their lives, or don't have, they have all these regrets by the time they die, because they never had anybody to say, hey, man, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? And that was Vic Cundiff for me at the beginning. He was like, you know, I went on his show. I think it was like episode 54, maybe 34. It was one of the very early shows. I had a strange little encounter coming home from work one day where, you know, the only thing that made any sense was, I guess, a dog man. And, you know, I went on his show. He told me he liked my voice, thought I would be a good thing for the topic. And Swamp Dog Chronicles was kind of born. The name came from this Seminole Creek woman I used to work with. She was very, very wise. She lived on native land. She was very, I don't know why she was working here, but she was just very strong in her values and her culture. And she used to share these stories with me that were very similar to Dogman about these swamp dogs. And they were like these werewolves, or just mad, crazy wolf creatures that were like almost psychotic, that would come into their camps, their encampments and all that, and just wreak havoc, destroy their livestock, destroy their pens, destroy their houses, just do whatever they could to make it terrible. And that was where it all came from. I was like, well, that's interesting. I'm obviously a Floridian. I really love the lore that, you know, the Seminole people, the unconquered tribes, the one thing that, you know, the United States couldn't snuff out. I loved it. So I was like, that's what I'm going to go with. And I just interviewed people like Godfrey, Vic Cundiff, you know, everybody in between that had some sort of relevance or stature in that whole world of cryptozoology and Dogman and paranormal and UFOs. We interviewed pretty much everybody there was. And to be real, I just got bored. There's only so many times you can ask, you know, how many times, like, what do you think Bigfoot is? Or, you know, did Bigfoot really steal that tractor and then do a suplex? Did he? I mean, you know, like eventually you just kind of get like, I can't ask this question so many times. And I had all these stories that were sent to me and from anonymous people who didn't want to come on the show. So I was like, you know, I'm just going to see if they'll let me narrate these stories. And then it just turned into SwampDweller because I wanted to keep that homage to like the swamp theme that I started. But I also didn't want to be like, Mr. Spooky Reads number 54, you know? So I was like, I'll just do a name that you're never going to forget. And I mean, if you hear SwampDweller, you probably won't forget that. So
that's sweet. Yeah. And I can definitely relate to the asking questions multiple times. Yeah, we were talking about that before the show, how stuff gets redundant. And not only do you get tired of asking the same questions, but I'm sure the audience and the people listening are like, didn't we just hear the same similar question or this basically the same conversation last week? So it's like the audience gets kind of sick of it. And, you know, everybody, we're all humans. So we all get into that same routine, but we do get sick of the same thing over and over again.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And the another thing is that I don't think I've ever even mentioned. Another reason that I got out of that whole thing is because that world is tiny. You know, that cryptozoology bubble is very small. And if you actually want to grow to the size that like a SwampDweller has gotten, you can't stay in that world. I'm sorry. You cannot stay just in that paranormal world, in that cryptozoology world. It is a very negative and toxic community. I'm not saying that to like bash on anybody, but it is. Everybody is trying to step on everybody else to get somewhere else. Everybody and their grandmother is a Bigfoot expert. And most of these people would never even seen one. So like, it's just one of those things where it's like, if you're going to like be in this world, you have to set a glass ceiling because you cannot expect to hit 1 million subscribers or have millions of views just talking about Dogman every single video, you know? Like there's an audience for that, but you have to understand there's an audience for that. And it's very limited and it's not nearly as big as people think, you know? People seem to think just because Bigfoot is a popular topic in American lore overall that people care about it. And in reality, people don't care about Bigfoot. Let's just be honest with ourselves. So like when it comes to the greater thing at large, like people want spooky Bigfoot chased us through the woods. They don't really care. Like, is Bigfoot real? I don't think that's what people care about these days. I think they want a good story that's going to entertain them about Bigfoot. And if Bigfoot ends up being real, then that's just the cherry on top, you know?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and then they just want, I guess if you go into it with the fact or with the knowledge or the belief that Bigfoot is real, and you just start from that baseline, then you can just listen to all the stories and it doesn't really matter if he's real or not. The proof doesn't matter. It's just the feeling that the story invokes is what you're looking for anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
So that makes sense.
Again, like I said, not to send any hate to any cryptid podcast or anything like that. Like everybody's doing great. I love it and support it. I was just thinking in my own terms, like when it came to like, I wanted to transcend just doing one thing, you know? So I didn't want to like put myself in a box because me as a human being, as I said earlier, when I get creatively bored, I check out entirely. And if I get bored with SwampDweller, that's the day you'll see SwampDweller stop uploading. So like to me, like the money's cool and the clout or the popularity or whatever people want to say is cool, but none of that motivates me. You know, like what motivates me is just being entertained, feeling fulfilled by doing what I'm doing, and trying to leave a lasting legacy. You know.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. Yeah. Me and Spooky talk about it all the time. Like we're here because it's fun. And once it's not fun anymore, then it's time to move on and do something different.
Definitely.
So out of all the stories that you've read, what would be I'm sure you probably have a top 5 or top 10, but what would be like your favorite one that you can pick right off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, shoot, man. I would have to probably say just the Letters from a Cryptid Hunter series. Just because it's the longest going series on my channel, and it's the one thing that people never really got bored of, and it's just story after story, letter after letter. No matter what Sam sends me, it's the most interesting thing I've ever read. I learned so much from it. But outside of that, I'd have to also say probably Disturbing Stories from a Fire Lookout. That's a story that really sticks with me just because the psychological aspect, the way it goes full circle. If you guys really want a nice long 2-hour story or set of stories, that's one I would definitely check out, especially if you're a big fan of like M. Night Shyamalan type twists where, you know, the movie starts one way and you're like, okay, I don't know what's happening. But when it ends, it kind of ends a similar way and you're like, oh shit, I completely get it now.
Mm-hmm.
I actually found that as soon as you said that, I found it on your site, so I'm going to put it in the chat room. Disturbing Stories from a Fire Lookout. That is just the title alone is intriguing because you're like, oh, fire lookouts, those are pretty creepy. Like, you're up there by yourself. You only have one job to really do, just make sure there's no fire. Make sure there's no smoke in when you look out there into the woods. And besides that, I'm sure it gets pretty creepy up there because you're up there by yourself. I mean, maybe you and a partner or something, but
like just the alone thing. I used to be a security guard for a couple of months outside of a national park, just a national forest, excuse me. And we would just like sit in this little building, and sometimes we would patrol in the truck, you know, going around the perimeter, make sure nobody was in there and stuff. And even that was terrifying. And that was just like a small condensed, you know, like it's like an experimental forest. I don't really know what the heck that means. I think they like test out like implementing wildlife back into an area or something like that. So at least I hope, you know, there's no Montauk crap going out there, but
yeah,
never know. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine sitting in there in the middle of nowhere, especially where this story's placed in California, you know, with all the wildfires. Like, it's a very real danger that you might see something. And on top of that, you know, poachers and all kinds of other crazy crap that you could run into. There's so many dangers outside of just nature that people, I think, fail to really think about. And when people go missing in the woods, you know, there are the strange missing 411 things, but I mean, sometimes I just think, I'm like, I mean, there could be like an Israel Keys out there right now, and nobody would ever know. You would just think, oh man, they got caught up in this forest fire, or dang man, they must have got lost, or man, a bear got them, or whatever. You'd never know. It could just be some dude just murdering 50 people a week out there. You would never know.
Right. Yeah.
Swampy, you mentioned M. Night. What are some of your favorite movies, horror movies?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I could say off the top of my head, the Sixth Sense that got me into it. That was one of the first movies that ever made me think as a child, where I was like, wait, because I didn't get it. Like, I did not get that movie for at least 4 watches. I was probably like 9 or 10 when I first watched it, but when it clicked with me, I was like, holy crap, okay. I really was like, oh, this is a dope movie. I like The Happening a lot too. I know a lot of people are like, these movies suck, but I'm a huge fan of early 2000s psychological thrillers.
Yeah.
I like Hide and Seek a lot. That's a really good movie. I just like movies that make you think, you know, at the end of the movie, you're just like, oh God, that was it. That's what I think a lot of movies are trying to do right now, but they're just failing miserably. But yes. I'd say those were a couple. My movies just change so much. It's like music. Like, it's my mood. It's what am I wanting to see? What am I feeling? Because there's just so many movies I could throw out there. But I could say basically anything but 80s slashers. I just don't get into gore and slashers.
Mm-hmm. More psychological. I agree. Me too.
Same with you, Spooky?
Yeah, I much prefer ones that make you think.
Yeah, The Sixth Sense, definitely. That one, I love those movies where at the end you're like, oh, no way. Ties the whole thing together.
I liked M. Night's The Village. I thought that was pretty sick.
Yeah, Village is great. I like a lot of his movies. I think M. Night is one of those people that got a lot of crap, you know, early 2000s, because it was like, oh, a twist. There's always a twist. But it's like, I mean, we could say the same thing about like Jordan Peele, who tries to like double.
Oh, exactly. Perfect analogy, right?
So it's like, if you guys like Jordan Peele so much, why don't you like M. Night Shyamalan? It makes no sense.
And then I'm over here not seeing any movies. That's what I'm famous for. I have not seen any movies. Sonny and Spooky are always like, oh, did you see this? Did you see that? Remember that part in this movie? I'm like, nope. I don't know where I was as a child, but I wasn't watching movies.
I forgot what I did 20 minutes ago. That's the problem.
Yeah, I'm right
like,
there
once
with
you start talking, I'll remember it. But like, if you're like, hey, you remember this thing? I'm just going to be like, blank-eyed at you, like, I have no clue what you're talking about, dude. And then you start saying some details, my brain will be like, oh yeah, association, we got this. But like, most times I can't remember anything just from a title.
I was just telling somebody about that the other day, how I don't remember school. Like, I don't remember high school. I don't really remember. There's so many things I don't remember until somebody starts talking about it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that time that we did that. But
it's locked away. Yeah,
in order to, like, just sitting at a campfire and somebody's like, "Hey, tell me about 7th grade. How did 7th grade go?" I'm like, Psh. For some reason, that's just like maybe you only form memories with things that you really want to remember. Like your brain only picks certain things that are important for you to remember, and most of the things in school I just didn't feel like were worth remembering. Apparently,
Yes, me in school were never really a thing. So like I always like I had like this weird, painful like understanding of life from like the age of 7. And like I discovered real quick that school was just teaching you to memorize things. So I was just like, I don't want to memorize these annoying ass math problems that piss me off because there's numbers or letters all of a sudden. So I was like, I'm just gonna try to learn things that matter. And I mean, worked out, I guess. I mean, the amount of teach like the funny thing is I was barely literate like when it came to like reading out loud in school. So like I always find it funny when like everyone's like, I love your voice. Like, did you love doing this as a kid? Are you classically trained? All this stuff. I'm like, no, dude, I just do my thing. But it's always like a crazy full circle moment for me. It's like I could barely read out loud in school and I would get so embarrassed and so flustered. Like, I'm sure you know how it is when you do the popcorn reading or whatever they call it in your schools. And it was just like, it's just such a weird thing now that you see this and you're like, man, everybody just thought I was going to be some like delinquent running around, probably doing drugs or something, and being a delinquent with dogs. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I noticed the dogs back there chilling. I only saw the brown one until the one in the corner, the black one, moved.
Oh yeah, he's this boy right here just got 2 teeth removed yesterday, so he's probably kind of out of it.
Oh man.
Oh.
He's high on some pain pills. I might have to try to mooch off that.
It's like, Dad, I don't know what you did to me, but this is awesome, man. Tell me some spooky stories.
That poor guy. Like, you're supposed to get 1 tooth taken out, and then suddenly they're like, actually, we have to take 2. And I was like, what?
Oh no.
Poor guys. Like,
yeah, that sucks. Little guy. Man, what was I gonna say? I just had something I was gonna say before that. The dogs distracted me. I love puppies. Oh, with the recording, because I know when I'm reading something, I screw all kinds of stuff up, and I know most people probably do too. They can't get through most paragraphs without screwing at least 1 or 2 things up. How does that work for you? Do you record and then like hit pause and go back and clip out stuff that you screw up, or can you go from like top to bottom without
1 take?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's really depending on the day. Some days I'm like, like every 2 seconds and I can't read. Like honestly, if I get really annoyed to the point where I keep messing up, I just won't work that day. I found like that works the best. It's like if you're really not enjoying it, just step away. But for me, I do it. It's either called snap editing or live editing, kind of what you just said. Like if I make a mistake, I'll stop, go back, cut it out real quick, and go. I used to do a thing that I need to start getting back into because it's so much more easier. Is another way of snap editing. Is anytime you make a mistake, snap or clap or whatever, so it makes an audio spike. So when you go back, you don't have to listen to the whole thing, cut it out. Just you see the spike, cut it, super quick. But I feel like the snap and live editing is just easy. It's quicker. You don't have to sit there and edit the audio all night. You can just knock it out right as you do it, and it's just by the time you're done with the video is actually done. Unless you have some crazy visual elements you got to work on, but. I mess up all the time. Some days like I just can't read and I'm stumbling over myself and it's just not working. Then other days like I can read the whole page and not make a single mistake and be like, man, I'm the best there ever was. But then there's days it's like I don't even know how I'm doing this right now. But I feel like I have some narrator friends that are much bigger than me, and like when you actually hear them recording, you're like, you're not even literate. So like that's what I choose. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty bad. And I can't say half the words apparently, but not that bad. I can at least read the sentence.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, shoot.
When you're talking about snap editing or whatever, clap editing, I feel like I would have outburst editing where you just
start yelling.
You screw up and you're like, damn it. And there's that spike. There's your damn it spike.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I get so mad I just start yelling or getting mad. I'm like, dude, I can't say this stupid word. Because some words I just trip over. I've always had a hard time with certain words like CH and SH. I'm sure you guys listening to my videos know like I get so much roast in my comments for not being able to say half these words correctly apparently. But I feel I've kind of just come to think that like that's just kind of like a way of interaction at this point. It's like if you say Appalachian or Appalachian, you know, Jesus Christ, one of the two.
It's part of the
apparently either
character.
one. In my opinion, it's both, right? If you're up north, it's Appalachian. If you're down south, it's Appalachian. I don't know.
Yeah, it's always been Appalachian up here. Appalachian Mountains.
I just don't think it matters. Like, who cares? It's just, like, you know what I mean, right? Like, if you know what I mean, then like the communication was effective. So I just don't understand when people are like, "Oh, you're saying it wrong," and I can't understand what you're talking about. It's like, no, you clearly know what I'm saying because you're correcting me. So
you're just trying to correct me.
Exactly. I was like, whatever, man. There's so many ways to say so many words. It's just annoying.
Yeah, man. Sonny, did you have a favorite episode you wanted to call out? I know I didn't get you the link very soon, but very quick for Swamp Dweller's channel. But
yeah, that was the grizzly. I mean, the bear attack one. That's the one I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, man, that one.
I almost stepped on a bear in the woods, and I mean, like 2 inches from his paw. Swamp Dweller walking through the woods hunting with a bow. I guess I'm that quiet. A bear was sleeping under a bush, under buckbrush, and I stepped, and then I seen something, like, because I'm looking off to my left, and as I step, I see something out of the right side, you know, kind of move fast, loud, and as I look back, the whole bush starts shaking, and I see it's a bear's paw dragging in front of my foot. I almost stepped on his foot.
Oh my
So
god!
when you were reading that story, I was thinking, holy shit, if I'd have stepped on that bear's foot, that could have been me.
Oh man, I'm glad it wasn't. Jeez Christ, man.
It was a little bear. It was small. It was maybe 200 pounds.
Yeah, it didn't sound like the one in the story.
No.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I'm always just like give as much respect to the nature and wildlife as I can, because like even these like tiny little alligators that are this big can like rip your arm off if they really wanted to. So I'm just like, that guy's a lot stronger than me. I'm gonna try to not piss him off.
Dude, we just watched a video the other day of these alligators getting fed, or maybe they're crocodiles. I can't tell the difference, but they were all getting fed, and one dude got another guy's arm stuck in his mouth. He didn't realize it was his arm. He just thought it was food, and he grabbed onto it and just started doing the twirling. What do they call that? Where they're spinning.
The death roll.
Death roll, and ripped the guy's arm right off. The other crocodile's arm right off.
Oh yeah, like it's nothing. Like
Yeah.
I was watching all these things the other day because they keep popping up. I don't know why, but it's like these saltwater crocodiles over in freaking Australia and Africa and all that. Just like these, there was this group of people, just like it was like 10 of them, these kayakers, and suddenly this massive gator comes up, guy's gone, never seen him again.
Out of a kayak?
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, because I have a very similar thing to Sonny just said. I was filming for this St. John's River Monster documentary. And I was going down in a kayak, and we decided to turn off our lights. We had GoPros on the chest and lights on the head. So we decided to turn off our lights just to see what it would feel like to be, pitch black. And I don't know why we were doing this. It was like 11 p.m. So I was like, I don't know why we're still in the water, but we're slowly going. And I start feeling things that sound like I'm hitting a lot of debris. And I'm like, okay, well, it's probably a short part of the springs. I'm probably just hitting like tree knees or whatever you want to call them. And I'm like, all right, whatever. It's not a big deal. I turn my light on, and I almost crapped myself. There was nothing but hundreds of red little dots all around me.
Oh.
And then I started actually listening, and I was hearing splashing noises, and I look and I see a gator jumping into the water. I'm like, I'm surrounded by fucking gators right now. I'm like, no, this is terrifying. So luckily they didn't bother us at all though. I'm actually completely shook. We just kept going slowly and slowly, just kind of getting out of there. But yeah, I almost crapped myself. It's every time I watch that video, I'm just like, you just see the light come on, you see red dots everywhere, and you just hear me say, oh, fuck. I was like, well, this is where I die, the most horrific death ever.
Surrounded by dinosaurs.
Oh my god, yeah, that was terrifying. Luckily, I've never been messed with any gators here. I've swam with them, well, not next to them, but I've unfortunately swam by them my whole life, living where I live, and the amount of times that they were probably right under our feet, and our parents just let us swim in that water, mind blows me.
Holy smokes! Yeah, I mean, you hear stories now about just the other day, I heard a lady that was walking her dog, and her dog was too close to the edge of the water, and bam!
It's their favorite snack. Dude, small dog. That's an alligator's favorite treat. I've heard that ever since I was a little kid here. And even my grandma used to say, you know, the gator's going to get the bad little boy. So I was terrified. You know what I mean? I was like, they're real, though. You see the gators everywhere. So I was like, I was the best kid ever. It's like please, grandma.
That'll put fear in you. The gator's going to get the bad boy. Is that what you said?
Yeah, the gators eat bad boys. And I still believe that to this day because I'm like, shoot. Because I see them all over the place. And there's this big gator that used to hang out down at the end of this little RV park that she was at. And I don't even know what kind of RV park it was. I guess it's one of those temporary ones when you like bring those big, you know, things in the back of your truck or whatever. And this thing would just sit there on this, like, I don't even know what it was. It was like this like patch of rocks or whatever, and would just sit there and like stare at people. And I'm just like, that thing's going to grab somebody one day. I bet it did. I don't know. I wonder what happened to him. He's probably still there.
I could live in a place like that. I don't like alligators. I would shoot every alligator I seen. I would be in so much trouble.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude.
Everyone would have alligator boots that I knew because, yeah, I don't want nowhere around where I'm staying.
There you go, dude. There's your new small business, Sonny's Gator Boots.
There you go.
Oh, plenty of gators to do. They got the season. You can get like hundreds of tags every year. Shoot, that's a good bag right there.
There you go.
Plus, gators good eating, man. It's just chewy chicken. It's great.
Chewy chicken.
I had another incident up here in our mountains, SwampDweller, where I was hunting. I was deer hunting, and it was getting later, and I was getting hungry, so I was going to go fishing, catch something to eat. I went to the same spot I always go to by this dam, and the elevation up there, we're not supposed to have rattlesnakes. It's the biggest rattlesnake I've ever seen, like in person.
Yikes.
Decided to attack me. I got out of the truck to let my dog out. As I walked around the truck and grabbed the door and opened it a little, the snake I heard the rattle going. And I shut the door back and I looked, and it was so close to me, and it was already coiled up. I was like, oh shit. Like I didn't know what to do. And there's actually a stick leaning right here in the corner. You can see the top of it. It's my walking stick. And I slid that out of the truck. And as I'm going to shut the door, I take the stick and I slide it down on the ground and shut the door as I'm jumping back so the dog can't get out. And I jump back at the same time. And that snake struck the stick. Luckily, he struck it. He struck the stick dead on. And it made him start flopping around, like, because when he hit it, it was like me hitting him with the stick because he struck so fast. He hit himself with a stick, and he started flopping around, and then he gained his bearings back, and he took off. And I thought, okay, so I stepped back like 4 or 5 feet, and I'm going to let him go by. And he turns, and he comes right towards me. So now I'm moving in a big circle, and he's following me. Yeah, man.
That's scary.
I had to. I ended up running back to the truck to get away from this thing, getting a shovel and cutting his head off. I didn't. I didn't want. I wasn't. It wasn't something I was going out and hunting and gonna kill. But after I seen how it was, I was like, oh hell no. The next person that comes here is gonna get bit. You know, like gonna attack somebody. I don't know why it did that. I've never seen a snake, rattlesnake or any snake, attack me or anything without being provoked. This snake came out of nowhere.
Must have some.
This is him right here.
This is him right here.
Yeah.
That's great. That's hilarious, dude. Was it like a diamondback? That's great.
I love when he does that.
I know.
Why doesn't he wear that hat every show, man?
Dude, that's the dopest hat I've ever seen. That's
word.
Get your ass.
I love when Sonny tells the whole story, and then he can grab the animal and be like, "Here he is."
That was him.
No, that makes it
try to bite me, and I ate his ass too. I ate like this much of that snake.
Oh, nice.
It was nasty.
I ate his ass.
I've heard a snake is not very good. I heard it's like super like tough and.
No, it was like chicken, but it was like a little bit fishy, tasting of like swamp water, maybe like.
Oh god, I hate fishy taste, so I couldn't even imagine.
SwampDweller water.
SwampDweller water. Hey, I mean, they do the bath water on OnlyFans. I might have to start going to the bog next door and start filling it up.
Yeah, there you go, dude.
Oh, So
That sounds bad, dude. I don't know. Like if you open that, you might think I farted in it or something.
Swampy
Swamp water.
fart water.
Swampy fart water. Get yours now at SwampDweller.com.
Hey, in the merch store.
Yeah.
Honestly, there we
Somebody
go.
would buy it. I mean, somebody would buy it.
Hey, Swampy, do you have any favorite stories about that revolves around like Native American lore or anything like that?
Man,
If
my
you don't have
favorite
to,
Native-
you don't have to actually name the story right now. But if you just have, do you have them on your website?
Oh yeah, I mean I have all kinds of stuff. It just depends like what you're looking for when it comes to like natives or indigenous peoples. I just actually put out a video about 9 days ago. It's 3 scary indigenous horror stories, and that's covering, you know, the residential schools in Canada, covering the Trail of Tears, covering North Sentinel Island, just like indigenous people all over the world. And then I have a bunch of stuff like I've got documentaries on like the Washuge from from Canada's cannibalistic. It's like ice giants, basically like the cousin to the Wendigo. We've got, you know, Raven Mockers, Bunyip. I've got like a whole cryptid documentary thing that's basically just based off of Native American lore behind, you know, the cryptids of North America and stuff, and even of other places. And there's all kinds of stories. It's hard to like name them off top, but I try my best to like put everything into like a perspective playlist, so you know it's easier to kind of navigate for everybody. But technically,
right now everybody's talking about like Skinwalker, you know, because of the show.
Oh yeah,
and everything.
tons of Skinwalker stuff. I mean, if you just type in Skinwalker on my channel, you'll find probably like at least 100 videos, 200 videos. I've got one on Skinwalker Ranch too. I've got a documentary just on like the lore of Skinwalkers as well. Skinwalker stories though, you'll find them forever. Like that's probably one of my more overly done things, unfortunately.
No, it's good. We love them.
Do you have something in mind that you want to break into that you haven't yet? Like something.
Currently, I'm trying to break into like I guess like new style of content, like hosting on screen, kind of like maybe like a Mr. Ballin type thing, you know, like those types of creators where they're on screen more, because it's the only thing I've never tried. And I'm more like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what I do with my hands, so I'm just like I'm hopefully not going to look ridiculous. I'm going to start doing that. I think tonight at midnight the first video is going to come out on that. And outside of that, I'm just trying to expand into other types of content outside of YouTube. You know, I've been working on a podcast network where I've been producing shows with other hosts that aren't myself. We've got Autumn Ivy. She's an amazing voice actor. She's got a great following all over the internet, and she just does such an amazing job on the dark side of YouTube, which is like a show we have based on, you know, dark rabbit holes and like true crime based on like YouTube and like internet influencers. Because if you really look at like the history of YouTube, it's really dark. It's like there's a lot of YouTubers who just shoot up schools or just murder people or are predators in some sense, you know? So I was like, we need to cover this in like one format, and that's kind of what that is. And they're deep dives, they're long, it's a lot of fun. I'm trying to just break into stuff like that. I want to give people platforms and create platforms with them to, you know, bring people not only entertaining shows, but just, you know, just bring up people. You know, there's so many voice actors out there, and there's so many stories that you'd never hear about, and so many writers and researchers that never really get a fair shot in the game. So I figured, you know, I'll do my best to create that own thing. And that's pretty much what I'm going in right now, is just trying to build more shows, you know, have more people join the network, and just, keep building that up. Because YouTube is amazing, and I'm grateful for everything YouTube has given me. But YouTube has shown time and time again that, you know, they don't really care about us. They'll smite you anytime they need. You know, they're a private platform. They're going to make their billions regardless if SwampDweller's there or not. So just to have like that safety net, and just to have something else to do, and not be like, so I guess you could say, like tied to YouTube. That's my new big thing, is to create my own little platform and empire, I guess.
That is some words of wisdom for all YouTube channels out there, man. Everybody should listen to that hard. Thank you.
No, definitely. If you guys have podcasts, monetize them on other platforms. Get them on an Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all them, because I'm just going to be real. They pay you much more fairly on those things. They pay you much more. They value you because people like these other platforms aren't nearly as big as a YouTube. You know, YouTube doesn't need your watch time. They already have the watch time. So like a Spotify or a Spreaker or all these places, you should just be on everything. TikTok, everything. Like for me, like I was slow to get on like TikTok and like the Instagram vibe just because I'm only 26, but I'm a boomer at heart. I didn't even get high-speed internet until I was 16. I just, like I said, I lived in the middle of nowhere for so long. By the time I even got on MySpace, everybody had a Facebook. So I was like, crap. So like, I'm always one step behind. But like, if you're more like technically inclined than me, for sure, like you need to be everywhere. You need to, you know, be monetizing it to the best of your ability because YouTube is amazing. But you never know when good old Susan's going to be like, today we no longer want the Chad Smith podcast. Sorry, Chad. No more encounters for us. It's just how they do. You know, they can just wake up and one day you're gone. So it's always good just to have that your brand everywhere. And I mean, there's so many people you'd reach that you wouldn't even be surprised. I mean, me doing the podcast like made me realize that I have such a massive international following that don't have access to YouTube or don't like to use YouTube because of their country's laws or whatever it may be. And like the podcast platforms are mainly everywhere, and there's like specific ones for like India and stuff like that. So like it helps you build, you know, these fan bases all over the world, and it's just such a good tool to have, regardless if YouTube's, you know, good or bad.
Sweet, man. Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, looking at your numbers on SwampDweller, it makes me kind of nervous. Like the more numbers that people have, the more potential that there is there for like strikes or copyright, this, that, and the other thing. And even if it's a mistake, like I've heard of people making their own music and uploading their music, and even their own published music that they made, somehow YouTube's algorithm catches it and says that it's copyright material, and then their video gets taken down. It's like, dude, that's a huge ramification for these channels that rely on those views and the uploads and stuff like that. So it's like the advice that you gave to join different networks or different platforms and to get monetized on those, that's great advice.
Yeah, definitely. And just, I can't emphasize enough, just do everything right to the best of your ability. It's so much better just to like, say for like storytellers, people get in trouble all the time for not getting permission for stories. Like they'll go to Reddit and just read stuff. Just ask, send an email, send a DM. Like I've even proven point so many times where I went to Reddit, even though I don't use Reddit, and I've messaged a bunch of different people asking if I could read their story. Every single person said it was okay. So I was like, if it's really not that hard. It doesn't take that long. It only took like a week for me to get like 15 people to be like, yeah, you can use my story. And that's like 3 videos if you really want to get real.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can make it work. Just do everything right. You know, it's so much better just to be professional and, you know, reliable, because you're going to build so many bridges and then maintain those bridges, keep them healthy, keep that steel strong, keep that wood fresh. You know, you don't want to burn down bridges because you see some temporary success, because teamwork makes the dream work in the long run. You know, like competition is just, it's just like, it's like envy, which is just pure poison in my opinion. It's just like you're never going to be happy because you're looking at Chad Smith's numbers instead of just looking at your own numbers. You know, like I can't worry about what, you know, Spooky's doing, because, you know, what works for Spooky doesn't work for me, you know, and what works for Swamp won't work for Spooky. So it's just kind of, you have to just you just have to look at what other people are doing and try to apply it in your own way to what you're doing, and just do it the right way from the beginning. Don't try to be sneaky or lazy, because if a lot of people start this off and they're just doing it for fun, so they're kind of being lazy and weird and, you know, just kind of doing it to do it. But what happens when you actually do make something out of it? And then suddenly a year down the line, you're getting struck and your whole channel's gone because you just didn't do it the right way the first time.
Yep. I've thought about that too. A lot of our earlier episodes, me and Sonny are just getting on here bullshitting and not really taking it seriously. And we're just playing all kinds of music from YouTube and not really caring. And then now we're getting to the point where it's like, oh, people are actually watching this, and we might actually hit 1,000 subscribers. And, you know, some of those episodes might actually get struck or whatever because of the music that we were playing. So yeah, you have to take it seriously right from the start, even if you don't think it's going to become something, you know, bigger.
Perception's everything. You want to have a great perception of yourself, for sure. Because, like, you know, when you're sitting here, you know, showing people your work, you don't want to give them like some half-ass, like it's like if you own a business and you're doing lawn maintenance, are you going to show them some cruddy lawn you did where it's not edged and it looks like crap, or are you going to sit there and show the best possible pictures of all the bushes trimmed, the edges? You want your stuff to look good, right? So you don't want to just throw out anything. But at the same time, like what you were saying, like that's just kind of trial and error too. You learn, and like when you start off, you're not going to be professional from the moment. Like when I first started, man, I was whispering into the mic. I had no idea. Like a lot of those early videos have been deleted, but like genuinely 6 years ago, I had no clue what I was doing. I was just doing it. So it's all about trial and error. But I do think, common sense needs to be strong on YouTube, because it mainly is just common sense stuff that you see a lot of YouTubers getting in trouble for. It's like, I didn't know. It's like, you kind of knew. Mm-hmm.
Damn, dude. That just like, when you said 6 years ago, it hit me. I'm like, 6 years ago? Because we've been doing this for like probably not even a year at this point, and it just feels like a lifetime. I feel like I've known Sonny and Spooky and Cassie and all these people for way longer than just a year. So 6 years did you say 6 years on YouTube?
Yeah, I've been doing the SwampDweller thing for 6 years.
That's awesome, dude. Congratulations. It's a long run for this kind of stuff. So it takes a lot of work.
I'm grateful every single day that like this continues to be a thing. I'm like, I don't know what I did, how I did it, but here we are, and I just hopefully it doesn't go away.
Yeah, 6 years later, that's amazing, man. Congratulations.
Oh, it's flown by, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah. What do you got coming up? Because we're coming up on an hour right now. I want to make sure that we get your newest stuff coming out plugged in there.
Like I said a minute ago, just new content coming out, experimenting with different types of things. I've got an official SwampDweller TikTok coming, where we're going to be doing those types of content and stuff. Bunch of shows on the Dark Swamp Entertainment, which is my podcast network. You can find it on YouTube as the Dark Side Podcast. And just, trying to make more shows, bring more shows on the network, and just keep expanding the swamp, and, platforming people who definitely deserve to have their voice heard by more people, and hope to just help everybody grow overall. I want to see the whole of YouTube growing. I want to see everybody doing big things in the podcast world, especially now with YouTube adding a new podcast section. Now is the time to definitely start double downing on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, dude, for being here with us today. This was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that we made it happen.
Yeah,
definitely. I appreciate you guys having me on. This was a lot of fun.
And we'll have to get you a Chad Smith podcast T-shirt. I remember you mentioned that before.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sent your way.
Well, thanks, dude, and we'll have you back on again.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, see you, buddy. All right, guys, that was cool. SwampDweller's the man.
SwampDweller in here with us.
He's a good guest, man. He's got an awesome channel too.
Yeah, I mean, he's got so much work on there. He popped back in for a minute. There's so much work done on his channel. 200. That's not him. Jamie.
I knew who that was.
We got Jamie backstage popping up all the overlays. Oh boy, she's popping up all the overlays backstage. And the funny thing about her is she can't hear us. She's just at work listening, or not listening. She's at work working and doesn't even have her headphones in, I don't think. But yeah, she just hops in here when she knows the guest is gone and just starts hitting all the buttons.
I noticed she doesn't pop up any overlays of herself.
Oh, maybe that's what we should do to counteract it. Maybe we should upload some Jamie pictures.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Jamie, tonight, I'll say tonight, is Bobby's Cryptid Corner on our favorite channel, That One Time I Was Abducted by Aliens, where tonight on the Cryptid Corner, they're going to be talking about duendes.
Dude, I thought your favorite channel was Paranormal Highway.
That's the one in the morning. The one in the evening is Bobby's Cryptid Corner.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And tonight they're talking about los duendes. Do you know what that means in Spanish?
No, I don't.
Goblins.
Ooh.
So I want to recommend everybody to be at Bobby's Cryptid Corner tonight at 6:30 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, I don't know anything about goblins, so I'm definitely going to have to go over there and check that out.
Ooh, it's going to be a good one tonight.
Must have been a movie.
Yeah, it must have been a movie if I haven't heard of it. or
There's
seen it.
actually a movie called Goblins, Chad, and you haven't seen it.
Nope, haven't seen it. Sonny asked me about a movie last night that I haven't seen. Like, nope.
It was
Haven't
the
seen it.
knockoff version of Gremlins.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. Well, what do you got, Sonny? You got a show coming up Friday?
We do. But I'm unorganized. I just ripped my calendar off. I noticed I was on the wrong month.
Oh, Spooky, you got a show coming up on Thursday?
On Thursday, I do have a show coming up. We got Unidentified S4 Anthony with us on the Chad
Yeah.
Smith podcast. It's going to be unbelievable.
We're gonna watch some UFO videos and
The dude just got over 500,000 views, man. He passed that mark. He's headed towards 1 million.
yep, he's doing very good over there, and we're lucky to have him. He's gonna be on Thursday. We're gonna watch some UFO videos and see what's lurking in the skies over Staten Island, New York.
I haven't
On
seen it
Thursday.
posted yet, but I'm assuming there's going to be a Witness Wednesday tomorrow on Unidentified S4 channel. So keep your eyes open for that. And of course, on Thursday, we've got the premiere of the new Paranormal Highway cartoon.
Oh, I can't wait for that one. I've got a lot of lines in this coming up one.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Jeanette Sanchez, thank you for reminding me. Cassie has a new true crime series that her and Bobby are doing. It's over on man, this channel's changed a couple times, so I think it's called True Crime Time. Let me make sure. But it's really cool. Cassie reads about a case, about a missing person, and then Bobby will pull cards and read. I cannot multitask. Let me just type this in really quick. It's True Crime with. I know I just type in Molly and Cassie and it pops up. It's Sunday night crime time. I'm gonna put the link in the chat right here. But yeah, guys, go check that out. Not many people were in the live yesterday, so I want to make sure people go over there and check that out because it's really sweet. Cassie will talk about a case or about a missing person, and then Bobby pulls cards and kind of pulls the energy from either the person or just like the situation, and it gets pretty emotional. It's kind of interesting. So go check that out. The last one was, like I said last night, it was streamed 16 hours ago. It's called Voice for the Missing with Bobby Stout, and they covered the case of. Well, actually, I don't know what the case was. It was a little girl that was abducted. And it came through pretty emotionally with Bobby. So go check that out. I think that's about it. We got Bobby's Cryptid Corner, and then the show on Thursday is going to be with Anthony from Unidentified S4. Be with us for that.
I got him down for Friday's show on Chop Shop.
You what?
I've got Anthony down for Friday's show on the Chop Shop.
Oh, maybe he's going to be with us Thursday and Friday. Yeah, he's on mine too. Yep. Anthony from S4 on Friday.
He's going to be a busy guy.
Yeah, man. He's going to be with us all week.
Can we hear the S4 theme song on one of those shows?
Ooh. Man, how do I do
love
that?
song.
Is that on his channel or is that on
I thought you had it here.
Unidentified S4? Let's check it out real quick. I'll play that real quick. But yeah, we definitely have to play. I need to load that into the stream or onto the board for Thursday and Friday. Here it is. Share screen. Dude, you guys are witnesses to this. Look at. I am not subscribed to Anthony.
Loser.
What is up with YouTube, dude? I watch his channel all the time. Somehow I got unsubscribed. Sorry, Anthony. YouTube just unsubscribed me. But I'm back in the game. That's so weird. Here, I'll full screen it. It'll take us out. All right, guys, I'm going to play this and take us out. Sonny and Spooky, thanks for being here. Swamp Dweller, thanks so much, dude. You're the best. And we'll see you guys next time on Thursday with Unidentified S4. Peace, guys.
It sound right, boys.